What's up everybody, it's your boy Nate. I just wanted to show you really quickly this brand new workflow that we just put out. It's our magic upscaler. Now this one works just like all of our other workflows where it reads from left to right, pretty much like a book. So you're gonna start off in step 1 where it says to load in your image. Then the next step is to load in your checkpoint model. And then over here is to select your upscale model. After that, everything should be all set to where you don't even have to touch any of the settings in the middle because we've optimized these settings already to give you a pretty great result out the gate. Another really cool feature about this is that it has auto prompting. So the way that this works is that it's using Florence to automatically look at the image that you give it, and it generated this caption here down in the bottom, which is going to get used then to generate this next image. I have an image from Final Fantasy X. This game was made over 15 years ago, so if you zoom in pretty closely, you're going to see how pixelated and grainy it looks. A lot of those details are missing, but as we scrub over here with the compare node, you can start to see all those details come back to the image. Now, one thing you are going to notice is that maybe some of the facial features will be a little bit different depending on the input image that you gave it. But other than that, everything else came out looking very awesome. So we even have these little details here, like if you look at the belt buckle, it's really hard to distinguish what that is until we go over with the upscaler, and you can even start to see some of the belt loops and the holes there. That's pretty impressive. Another really cool thing is that look at just some of these details on the sword, which already this sword is very abstract, but we get the hilt and we get this ribbon in the ocean that actually gets the reflections and the water interacting with it so much better than we had in the original image. So this is just some of the power of using an auto prompting feature with this upscale setting. Another really cool thing that I wanted to show you is this background in which you can hardly even make out these building structures, but after the auto upscaler has gone through it, you start to see some of those details really pop back in. So this is a really powerful and useful tool. And again, all this should work just by you dragging and dropping in your image, loading your checkpoint model, and loading in your upscaler. Now, if you guys are having any trouble with this, you can go over here to the top right-hand side at the very end, which has important notes. Just click on that little gray dot, and it's going to pull up links to download either the checkpoint models, or you can go ahead and check out our Patreon and message me if you're having any problems. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this workflow, get to creating with it. A huge thanks to all of our supporters on Patreon, because thanks to them, we're able to keep pushing out our latest research and sharing it with everyone. By default, all of these settings should be optimized to give you a pretty amazing image and result afterwards. But if you did want to learn a little bit more into how this workflow actually works, there are opened up settings for you guys to be able to adjust. So the very first section here for some of these optional, more advanced settings is switching it either from the auto mode to the manual mode, which means that it's not going to use that auto captioning prompt feature. And instead, if you wanted to go down here to the manual prompt, you can type in your own manual prompt and use that instead. Some other settings that you might also want to learn about are these upscale settings here in the middle, which by default, it's going to upscale your image by a factor of 2. But if you wanted to use a different amount, you could go ahead and set that here as well. Another important setting that you may also want to tinker with is the denoise value. So by default, we have this at 0.15, which uses a lot of the original input image for its final upscaling. But if you wanted the AI to be a little bit more creative with its result, you can crank this value up higher to something like 0.25 or something even crazier like 0.3. Essentially, the higher the value is, the more creative the model is going to be with its upscaling, and the lower the value, the more it's going to use that original input image. So if you're working with an image where you're noticing the face details look completely off, I highly recommend that you go down and just lower this value down to something like 0.1. 0.15 should be a nice happy medium between using your input image and having the AI creatively add some of those details back in. Another setting that you may want to check out is the pick image save node, which is going to let you pick the exact name and the folder and some of these additional settings when you're actually saving out your image. But again, by default, all of these settings should work, and you shouldn't really have to tinker with this too much. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy creating with this. Until next time, all right, peace.